talk me through, Phoebe, that kind of initial like building of the ensemble. What did you do to build that ensemble?
With one of our practitioners, Soph, we did an exercise where half of the group had to sit in the audience and the other half had to walk around on stage in the space, and then we randomly shout instructions at each other, that as an ensemble then we had to do at the same time. So like, for example, if somebody shouted jump, as a collective we would all have to jump at the same time. I found it really useful as it made us gain like a stronger awareness of the space and each other, and like highlighted, I think, the importance of listening to each other, because I think sometimes we're not always the best at making sure it's like one voice. And it really helped when performing our scenes for Metamorphosis, as even though like only a few people really speak in each scene, as like an ensemble we have to create like a character or a set together, like in Phaeton and Phoebus we all have to be the sun, so I felt it was really helpful to connect us as one character.
Great, okay, so talk me through the development of the piece then, like how did you kind of make this piece?
When we were doing like a run through of our piece and we were staging them, we would explore quite a few different like ways of performing a certain section. Like at the end of Baucis and Philemon, who's like about a couple of strangers that a couple that let two strangers into their home that turn out to be gods, and then because of their kindness the gods grant them with a wish which they use to die at the same time. But when we were doing that with Now, we did it where we only had a small movement phrase and turned into trees to kind of replicate them turning into trees at the end. But then when we did it with Soph, we really like built on it and changed it and got into 3 groups and did like a whole movement phrase in those 3 groups of turning into trees, and like really using the 6 main people that were speaking, incorporating it, so it felt like a bigger ensemble thing than when we did it with Now, so I think we really helped build on it.
Yeah, perfect. What about your own kind of individual contribution to the process?
In our session with Soph, we did a exercise called We Could, where we each went around the circle and said an idea, realistic or not, that we could do for our first piece, The Creation, which is all about like how the world started. Some people had like said a suggestion to do with light, and I really liked that suggestion. So I kind of built on it of saying like it'd be cool if we started it in darkness, because our plays like focuses on the life cycle, so it's like darkness of coming into the world for the first time, and then moves into light, which is where the sun comes in and it's like you're at your high point, and then goes back into darkness at the end, showing like death and the end of it, and like it's a nice cycle.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, what about the challenges you faced as a group?
When we worked with Now on our second piece, Phaeton and Phoebus, about the sun god and his kid that destroys the world, we did an exercise where we had to get into small groups and create a sequence of office movements that we would then add into our main piece, because we kind of just did like a rough sketch of Now and then Sophie could build on it. But like as a group we didn't really understand where it had come from. It felt very random to do something with the sun that's got office movements. So then when we started working with Soph, she was speaking to us a bit about it, and we were all kind of a bit like, we don't really get what's going on. So then she explained it really well, that how it's like we're all working for the Palace of the Sun, and we're all like, you know, running it, making sure it's all going smoothly, and then Clymene, who's the sun's wife, is like the overall boss of us, and then how it also like ties in with capitalism. So she explained it really well. And then which made us really then go, I think, stronger with the movements, and because we understand what we were doing, we then got to perform it a lot bigger. So I think just getting behind some of their concepts sometimes, but then once you explained it, it was really good.
Okay. So today, obviously Performance Day, talk me through what you as a group want to make the audience feel. How are you going to go about doing that?
I think one of our things is, it's quite a physical performance piece, which I think can be quite confusing and a bit shocking for an audience, but I feel like that's quite good because it can help it like stick in their heads a bit more and try and put your message across. So I feel like from it they'll come away feeling a little bit like shocked, confused and intrigued, but then I also hope that they feel a bit like empowered and knowledgeable about the life cycle and the creation of the world, and like the importance of kindness, and like how you'll get rewarded with kindness and not being greedy and capitalism and like all that stuff. I think the messages through that, hopefully they'll come away with and I can reflect on.
Perfect. That was our 5 minutes.
Thank you.